Welcome you all for Tungal online classes. So we have started the chapter mechanical properties of fluids. So last class we discussed up to Archimedes principle. Then we will continue. Okay. So Archimedes principle. So Archimedes principle states whenever a body partially or completely immersed in a liquid or fluid, then what happened to the weight of the body appear to be decreased. The decrease in the weight of the body is exactly equal to the weight of the displaced liquid. So based on that, we have calculated a fraction of volume which is there inside, fraction of volume which is there outside. So this class will start with the applications of Archimedes principle. Applications of Archimedes principle. Generally, some numericals are asking based on these applications. So what are the major applications of this Archimedes principle? The first application is, so we can find out the specific gravity or relative density of a solid. Relative density of a solid. The specific gravity is also called as relative density of a solid. Can be determined by using this Archimedes principle. This is the first application. Okay. So let me come to know how to calculate this specific gravity or relative density. What is the meaning of specific gravity? Specific gravity or relative density is the ratio between. So I will represent the relative density RD, stands for relative density. It is the ratio between density of the solid by density of water. So water at 4 degrees Celsius. Why should we consider at 4 degrees Celsius? We will come to know. So that ratio is called as the relative density. Now, how we will calculate this relative density? By using Archimedes principle, we will see. First, the given solid we have to calculate the weight. So W1 is the weight of the solid in A. Okay na? And W2 is the weight of the solid in water. So two weights are calculated. But these both values are not same. So obviously W1 value greater than W. Then what is the loss of the weight value given by? So loss of weight value, that is given by true weight minus real weight minus apparent weight. Correct? So this real weight already we have written. What is according to Archimedes principle? The apparent weight value is equal to real weight minus buoyant force. Correct? From this, what is the buoyant force value will give you? So real weight minus apparent weight. This real weight minus apparent weight will give you loss of weight. So loss of weight value WR minus W. Here what is the value of WR? WR will give us what? W1. Weight in A and the apparent weight in liquid is given by W. This W1 minus W2 value will be equal to FP. What is this FP? Buoyant force. So FP value can be written as, actually we have written WA value will be equal to how much? M into G into how much? 1 minus rho L by rho or rho W by rho S. Can I write down? So apparent weight value will be equal to formula last class mg into 1 minus rho W. There I written rho L by rho. So here water na rho W by rho S. What is rho S value? That is the density of the solid. So what does it mean? You compare this WA only. In place of WR mg. In place of FB mg into rho W by rho S. Can I write down? Which value is equal to mg into rho W by rho S. Mg value is equal to W. First I will write m into G into how much? Rho W divided by how much? Rho S. Okay na? Which is equal to W1 minus W. So W1 mg value nothing but W1. Weight value in A. So rho W by rho S into how much? W1 minus W. From this, what is the value of rho W by rho S value is equal to W1 minus W2 divided by how much? W. But what is relative density? Relative density is the rho S divided by rho W. So which is given by W1 divided by W1 minus W. So this is the formula to calculate the relative density. To find the relative density, what we need to know? We need to know W1. W1 is the weight of the body in A. So W1 can be also written as, now relative density can be also defined as, so weight of the body in A So weight in air, directly write in air, divided by, so loss of weight in water, loss of weight in water, or this can be also defined as relative density, can be also defined as this is weight in air, weight in air divided by upthrust. So what is upthrust value? Nothing but buoyant force. So relative density can be also defined as it is the ratio between mass of the body to mass of the same volume of water at 4 degrees Celsius, or weight of the body to weight of the water of same volume at 4 degrees Celsius. It can be also defined as weight of the body in air by loss of weight of the body in water, or weight of the body in air divided by loss of weight value will be equal to what? Fb. Fb is nothing but upthrust. By using this formula, so we can calculate the specific gravity of a given solid. Okay, Nana? So this one you can remember. So what is the value we got finally? Rho s divided by rho w will be equal to, can I call it as equation 1? So okay, this is the first application. First application cleared, I think. Second application will go. So applications of in this Archimedes principle. In this second application, what we'll calculate is, so specific gravity or relative density of a liquid. I want to calculate liquid relative density. Last time we calculated a relative density of a solid. Then what is the relative density of a liquid given by RD? It is the ratio between density of the liquid divided by density of the water. So here also see, first let us calculate W1. Already last time we calculated W1 value we know now. What is W1? Weight of the body in air. And what is W2? Weight of the body in water. Now let us calculate weight of the body in a given liquid. That weight given by W2. Is it clear now? W1 is the weight in air. W2 is the weight in water. W3 is the weight in given liquid whose specific gravity or relative density we want to calculate. Now, can I apply the same formula like last time? What is W1 minus W3 will give you loss of weight. That loss of weight value will be equal to Fb. So that Fb value will be equal to, can I write it as Fb value is equal to W1 into rho. Here which value I get? Density of the liquid divided by density of the solid. So from this what I will get, the answer is given by finally. So what is the value of rho s divided by rho l? Will gives us, so W1 divided by W1 minus W2. Can I write down? By applying the same method, so we get rho s divided by rho l value is equal to W1 divided by W1 minus W2. I will call it as equation 2. Now we know equation 1, we know equation 2. Now I want to calculate rho l by rho w. To calculate the value of rho l by rho w, so what I am doing is dividing equation 1 with equation 2. Then what I will get? Divide 1 with 2. So after division, finally what I will get, the answer is rho l by rho w. Rho s cancel. Will be equal to W1 minus W3 divided by, so W1 minus W. So this is the formula to calculate the relative density. The relative density of the given liquid can be also defined as, what is W1 minus W2? So loss of weight in liquid divided by which one? Divided by, so loss of weight in water. In water. So this ratio will give us the relative density. Understood? To calculate the relative density of the given liquid, take one objective solid. Immerse that solid first initially in water, find the loss of weight in water, find the loss of weight in liquid. Then that ratio will give you the relative density. Relative density is unitless and dimensionless because it is purely a ratio. So that's why it having no units and no dimension part. Understood? Second application of specific gravity or relative density of a given liquid. And the third application. So we can find out. So what about the third application on this Archimedes principle? We can find out the the volume of a cavity in a metal. Third application part is for finding volume of a cavity in a metal. This is the third application. Let us consider one metal plate. So this metal plate having one hole, cavity. Hole is nothing but what? A cavity. Now I want to calculate what is the volume of that cavity. To calculate the volume of this cavity, so mass of the metal plate, let me call it as capital M, and the density of this material of the metal plate. The density of the material of this metal plate, let me call it as, that is sigma. Then what is the volume of this metal plate? Volume value given by m divided by sigma. Know that na? First I will consider the metal plate is made up of which material? The total mass of the metal plate. The density of the material of the metal plate is sigma. Then volume of the metal plate is given by what? M by sigma. After calculating this, now we will calculate so weight of this metal plate in A with the cavity. Finding the weight in A. W1 is the weight of the metal plate in A, and find the weight of the metal plate in water. So that is the value of W. W1, W2 are what? Weight values in where? In air and in water. So after calculating W1, W2, we know this. What is the value of W1 minus W2? W1 minus W2 will give us loss of weight. How can I calculate the loss of weight? According to Archimedes principle, which will be equal to V. Which can be written as W1 minus W2 will be equal to, actually this is the volume of only material of the metal plate. If I call the total volume of the metal plate, including cavity, let me call it as V dash. Now what I am doing is total volume including cavity was immersed in a water. When it is completely immersed in a water, FB value will be equal to V dash into rho W into G. Can I write down? So from this, what is the value of V dash is equal to? V dash is equal to W1 minus W2 divided by how much? By rho W into G. Then we got V dash. What is V value? V is the only the material. How much material was there? That volume. V dash is the total volume of the plate including hole, including the cavity. Now what is the volume of the cavity will be given by, so volume of cavity. So volume of the cavity will be given by what? So that is V dash minus V. So V dash minus V value. You know the values. V dash value you know, V value you know. So what is V dash value? W1 minus W2 divided by, so rho W into G minus V value M by C. So by using this formula, we can calculate by volume of the cavity. Actually, though it is not that much important of these applications, but why discussing means you should know how to apply. Archimedes principle is very important. So here everywhere we are applying the Archimedes principle. Whenever a body partially or completely immersed, so what happened to the weight of the body will be decreased. That loss of weight value exactly equal to which one? That value will be equal to, so that loss of weight value will be equal to buoyant force. That is only an Archimedes principle. Okay, so this is the application third. So last application for this Archimedes principle. What is that application is? Fourth application for this Archimedes principle, to find the amount of impurity in a metal. Okay, na? We can find out by using this Archimedes principle the amount of impurity. Like you take the example of, so gold. If you want to make ornaments with the gold, compulsory copper is needed to add. So we should know how much copper is added. So that can be also calculated by using this Archimedes principle. First, what we need to take is, we need to take one alloy. So alloy, that alloy weight in air. So weight of that alloy in air, let me call it as W. So this alloy is a mixture. Let us suppose it is a mixture of two metals. This alloy, so mixture of two metals. So let us suppose two metals are there. That two metals mass M1 and M2 and M2. Then what is the total mass of the alloy given by M is equal to M1 plus M2. What is the total weight of the alloy given by M1 plus M2 into G? Correct? So what is W1? W1 is the weight of the given alloy in A. Then find the weight of the alloy in water. Okay na? So after that, what is the loss of weight value given by W1 minus W2? What we need to do? What is the metal weight or alloy you are taking? That alloy was immersed in a liquid. After immersing, find the weight value. That weight value is W. So what is W1 minus W2 value? W1 minus W2 value will be equal to, so V into, how much I will get? V into rho W into G. By force now. So from this, what is the value of V is equal to W1 minus W2 divided by rho W into G. What is V? Total volume of this given alloy. So total volume can be written as, now generator, this is M1 by D1 plus M2 by D2 will be equal to W1 minus W2 divided by, so rho W into G. Are you getting that? What is M1 and M2? Two metal masses are M1 and M2 and their densities are D1 and D2. So what is the volume of the first one? M1 by D2. Second one M2 by D2. So total volume given by M1 by D1 plus M2 by D2 will be equal to W1 minus W2 divided by rho W into G. For suppose I know the value of M1. If I want to calculate M2, so M2 can be eliminated. Now you see, what is the total formula for M? M is equal to M1 plus M2. I want to calculate M2 value. If I want to calculate M2, M1 eliminate. So what can I write? M1 value is equal to M minus M2. If I substitute the M1 value here, what I will get? So M minus M2 by D plus D1 plus M2 by D2 will be equal to W1 minus W2 divided by rho W into G. So use this formula to calculate M. What is M? Where M is the mass of the given alloy. That mass should be known. W1 is the weight of the alloy in A. W2 is the weight of the alloy in water. Rho W is the density of this liquid, water. So water density value, so rho W value will be equal to rho W. So in SI serious system, 1 gram by centimeter. Whereas in the SI system, the value will be given by 1000 kilogram by meter. So you have to remember this density values. Unknown metal mass is M2. We can calculate that unknown metal mass. But M should be given. Then only you can calculate M1. If I want to calculate M1, that can be also calculated. Understood? So these are the applications of this Archimedes principle. Archimedes principle part is very important for us. Many number of questions asking for objective based on this Archimedes principle only. Okay, this is the fourth application. The next one important point, when ice is floating ice, based on this Archimedes principle only, frequently asking the questions. So floating ice. Some points see once. First point, let us suppose ice is floating in water, which is melted. You have taken one ice cube, throw it in water. So then what happens? It will float initially. Density of ice is less than the density of water. But remember this, to understand this point, you should know the laws of flotation. When body laws of flotation, if rho value less than rho L. So what happens? Rho value greater than rho L means body will sink completely without floating. If rho is equal to rho L, the body will sink completely but float. If rho value less than rho L, then what happens? Body will sink partially and float. First law, second law, third law. First law for sink without floating, second law sink completely floating, and third law, so sink partially and floating. That laws are important. Now what I have taken is, in a container I have taken one cube of ice piece. The ice cube I have taken. The ice cube which was thrown, which is floating in water. If that ice cube was melted, then what happened to the water level? So water level will not change, it will remain same. Okay, the first point is clear now. The ice which is floating in water, if this ice was melted, so water level which causes the water level, already it is floating now. Floating means what happened? It was sinked completely. After sinking completely, if it is converted into water also, so water level will remain same. That is the first point. The second point, for example, that ice cube which having some cork, inside that ice cube one cork is there. Okay, so a cork is embedded in a ice cube. That ice cube is already floating in where water. If that ice cube is melted, then also the water level will not change, it will remain same. The cork density also less than that of water. Because of density less only, initially ice cube and cork both are floating. Density more means what happen? It will sink completely. First law. Understood? Then also the water level will not change. Third one. For example, the ice cube which is floating embedded one metal ball, one lead shot or metal ball is there. Ice cube I taken one metal shot, I kept that metal shot in deep freeze, it became there, ice is formed there, I thrown that metal ball including the ice into water. So what happened to the ice was melted. When ice melted, what happened to the metal ball will reaches to bottom, but here metal ball density more compared to the water, so metal ball will sink completely. After sinking also, so water level in this container will be there. The water level in this container will decreases. Always remember, the floating object density more than the liquid, then that water level, that level of the liquid will decreases. Otherwise, it will be increases. Are you getting that? So in this case, it will be decreases. And fourth point is, whenever ice is floating in a liquid whose density less than that water, if the density of the liquid, I have taken some liquid other than water, I made one ice to float. So ice was melted. That time what happened now? The liquid level is there now, it is going to be decreases. Always remember, density of the object is greater than density of the liquid. So liquid level will decreases. You will come to know still by seeing some applications. Where density value less than the density of the liquid level will increases. Can you remember? The floating object density will decide. So what happened to the final level of the liquid of container? Will it increase or will it decrease? Frequently, many questions are asking based on this concept. Okay, so this is for floating the ice. Till now we are discussing for fluids which are at rest position. That is, fluid mechanics is of two parts are there. One is fluid statics, other one is fluid dynamics. Till now we are dealing with the fluids which are in rest position. Now we will discuss regarding fluids which are in motion. Okay, na? So fluid flow, fluid dynamics. What is fluid dynamics? The branch of fluid mechanics deals with the fluids which are in rest position or motion, which are in motion. Okay? Now let me know. Fluid flow. Types of fluid flow. Fluid flow is of two types mainly. One is of streamline flow. Streamline flow. And another one is turbulent flow. Turbulent flow. So what is the meaning of streamline flow? Streamline flow. When fluid flow is said to be streamline flow. A fluid flow, a regular flow, some other names also there for this, a regular flow. Sometimes we also used to call it as laminar flow. Okay, a fluid flow is said to be streamline flow if the the particles of the fluid. Let me call it as one fluid is flowing across this. So these are the particles of path followed by the particles of the fluid. In case of streamline flow, it is also called as regular flow. Fluid is flowing with a low velocity flow, with a less velocity, such that each and every particle of the fluid flow will follow the path same as that of the preceding. If I consider one particle here, if I consider another particle, this is second particle. If the path followed by the first particle is this, the second particle will follow the path same as that of the first particle. The path will follow same. And that is another important point regarding this streamline flow. At a given point, the velocity of the fluid flow will remain constant. What does it mean? Is now particles are crossing. They are crossing several points. Here one point is there, let me call P. Here one point is there, let me call Q. Here when it reaches to P, for example, one particle speed is 5 meters per second. Whatever the particle in fluid flow streamline, so reaching to P will have the same velocity. Velocity at a given point will remain constant. But it does not mean that the velocity at each and every point is constant. So, if I consider another point Q, for example, here one particle crossing a velocity with the 10 meter per second, the next particle also at this point will have same velocity. What does it mean is, in case of fluid flow, so at a given point, the velocity will remain constant. When velocity remains constant, at a given point of given cross section, pressure also will remain constant. At a given point, pressure also will remain constant. Such a fluid flow is called as streamline flow. When a fluid flow is called as streamline flow, the particles of the fluid will follow the path same as that of the preceding, and also velocity at a given point will remain constant. Such a fluid flow is called as streamline flow. So what is the meaning of streamlines? Streamlines. So generally, if I draw a line, this is the path followed by the particles of a fluid. For example, if I draw a line joining all these particles, path followed by the particle, this line is called as streamline. This streamline may not be always straight line, so it may be a curved lines also, like this curved lines also. Regarding these streamlines, properties are very important. Study this in subject 2. What are the properties of streamline? First one is the tangent drawn to the streamline, very important property. The tangent drawn to the streamline at a given point. So if I draw a tangent, regarding the properties, if I draw any tangent, the tangent drawn to the streamline will use direction of velocity at that point. For example, this is one streamline. If I want to calculate the direction of velocity at this point, what I need to draw a tangent. The tangent will use the direction of velocity. First property for streamlines. Second property, no two streamlines intersect with each other. Even this property also you know, intersect with each other. Why? Because if they intersect with each other, what happened? Now two streamlines are intersect. This is one streamline, this is one streamline. At the point of intersection, if I want to draw tangent, two tangent I can draw. So at a given point, the fluid will have two components of velocities. It is not possible because it is a straight line motion. So that's why no two streamlines will ever intersect with each other. Like this, the properties are there. When streamlines are crowded, velocity more. When streamlines are less in number, so velocity will less. So this is regarding a streamline flow. In a streamline flow, the energy will be dissipated only to overcome the viscous forces. So there are no eddies will not be there. Energy will not be wasted other than to overcome the viscous. What is viscous? We will come to. Viscous is nothing but a frictional force. In liquid fluids, the frictional force is called as viscous force. Are you getting up? So regular flow or laminar flow or streamline flow or steady flow. So that is of this. Okay? But to remember, whenever a fluid is flowing with a slowly, with low velocity, with less velocity, then only it can be considered as a streamline. Okay? So what is the second one is turbulent flow. What is turbulent flow? Obviously. So what happens? Velocity at a given point in a fluid flow will not remain constant. Then, so what happens? Particle will follow irregular path. So eddies will generate. Energy will be required to overcome the both viscous force and also eddies. Such a fluid flow is called as turbulent flow. So what is the major difference between the streamline flow and turbulent flow? Here velocity will remain constant at a given point. Here velocity not remains constant. Here particle will follow the path same as that of preceding. Here particle will not follow the path same as that of preceding. Here so eddies will not be there. Here eddies will be there. So that is when our speed is increasing. So the streamline flow will be converted into turbulent flow. You see the example of any river. At the starting point, a river will flow with the high velocity. First initially it will flow irregularly in all direction. After traveling some distance, the flow will become regular. It will become the streamline. Okay now. So these are the major differences between streamline flow and the turbulent flow. Okay. So after completion of the streamline flow and turbulent flow, next topic we will discuss is that is for viscosity. What is viscosity? Viscosity. I told you as you take the example of river. Initially it will flow with a high velocity, but after traveling some distance the velocity will decrease. That is due to internal opposing forces. We know all friction. Whenever a solid want to move over another surface, then because of the interlocking, what happens? A frictional force will arise. That frictional force will oppose the applied force. Similarly, whenever a fluid is flowing, for example, I will consider it as laminar flow. Laminar flow means fluid is flowing in the form of layers. So this is first layer, second layer, third layer. Here the layers are nothing but fluid flowing in the sense molecules will be moving or not moving. So here also molecules are there, here also molecules are there, and here also molecules are there. So I will call this as layers. This is first layer, this is second layer, and here it is the third layer. So between the molecules, force of attraction will be there. That is a cohesive forces. Because of that forces, what happens? The one layer of molecules will not allow other layers to move. Are you getting it? So compulsory what will be there? Between the molecules, interaction will be there. That interaction will oppose the molecules to move. So that interaction will arise as the property viscosity. Viscosity is nothing but a frictional force in liquids or fluids. In fluids, the frictional force is called as what? Viscosity. The property due to which an opposing tangential force. Frictional force, what you studied in the properties of that frictional force, here also the same. An opposing tangential force which arises between the adjacent layers of a fluid. So due to the property of which one? Viscosity. That force's name is called as what? Viscous force. What is that force's name? A viscous force. If I consider in terms of layers, this is first layer, second layer, third layer. So you know this. When you are going to the depth, so what happens to the velocity of layers? Decreases. So what is the reason here is because of the increasing of pressure. The relation between the pressure and velocity we will come to know in Bernoulli's theory. So that's why what happens? First layer will move with a high velocity compared with the second. Second layer will move with a high velocity compared with the third. Which layer will be in contact with the ground? That will be in the rest position. When you are going to the depth, what happens to the velocity? Decreases. Even this is also one of the reasons for the layers, for between the layers to exist so tangential opposing force. This velocity difference can be measured with respect to the distance. So Newton has given a formula for finding the velocity, viscosity, viscous forces. So that Newton's formula for viscous force. What is Newton's formula? Newton's formula of viscous force. So according to the Newton, the viscous force between the adjacent layers, if I consider two layers, between the adjacent layers compulsory velocity difference will be there. The viscous force value directly proportional to, so area of contact. How much area of one layer is in contact with the second layer? That area of contact. And it is inversely proportional to, so F value is directly proportional to area of contact. And it is directly proportional to velocity gradient dV by dx. So what is velocity gradient means? Rate of change of velocity with the distance. So when you are going to the depth, so velocity gradient. When you compare first layer and second layer, velocity gradient will be somewhat. When you compare the first layer and third layer, velocity gradient will be so different. Velocity gradient will give you change in velocity by distance. So that is F value directly proportional to dV by dx. From these two, F value proportional to A into dV by dx. Velocity gradient. To remove the proportionality, F value is equal to eta into A into dV by dx. So what is this eta here is coefficient of viscosity. What is the name of eta? Coefficient of which one? Viscosity. So coefficient of viscosity, how can we define? So eta is equal to F divided by F by A into dV by dx. Correct? So whenever dV by dx value, change of velocity with the distance is 1 meter. So what is the velocity value? Velocity units are meter per second, distance units are meter. That velocity gradient units are 1 second inverse, and area of cross section value will be equal to 1 meter square. Then what I will get? Coefficient of viscosity. Coefficient of viscosity value numerically equal to F. What is coefficient of viscosity definition? It is numerically equal to the viscous force, tangential viscous force acting between the adjacent layers of unit area of contact having unit velocity gradient. Then eta value will be equal to how much of F. What are the SI units of coefficient of viscosity? Coefficient of viscosity SI units are given by, so that is Newton meter square by second inverse. So what I will get? Newton by meter square is nothing but Pascal. So Pascal, so what I will get? Pascal second inverse here it will come to numerator, that is Pascal second. Whereas the CGS units are of beta is given by what? Points. Okay? So this is coefficient of viscosity. Here we will get one more definition, that is coefficient of dynamic or kinematic viscosity. Dynamic or kinematic viscosity. What is coefficient of kinematic or dynamic viscosity? So it is the ratio between the coefficient of kinematic or dynamic viscosity. So K will be equal to, it is the ratio between the coefficient of viscosity by density of fluid. The ratio between the coefficient of viscosity to density. So that ratio will use us coefficient of viscosity, coefficient of kinematic or dynamic viscosity. Okay. So after completion of this, the last point for this class is how this viscosity changes with the temperature. So variation of viscosity with the temperature and the pressure. Last point for this class and the pressure. How does viscosity varies with the temperature and the pressure? First I will consider temperature. Viscosity is a molecular phenomenon. It arises because of molecular interaction. Generally for liquids with increasing temperature, intermolecular distance increases. So molecular interaction decreases. That's why the viscosity or coefficient of viscosity will decreases. Whereas for gases with increasing the temperature, the viscosity, how can we measure the viscosity of a given fluid? By knowing this constant only. If the coefficient of viscosity is more, means viscous forces are more, otherwise less. But in case of gases, so So with increasing the temperature, collisions will occur more. Because of the more collisions, molecules will interact strongly. That's why the viscosity will increase. So that's why the variation of viscosity for liquids and gases will be opposite. For liquids with increasing the temperature, viscosity decrease. For the gases with increasing the temperature, viscosity value will be increases. And what about the third one is, second point is variation of viscosity with pressure. For which one I will consider for liquids? For liquids with increasing the pressure, whenever the pressure increases, the viscosity value will be increases. Why? Because pressure means intermolecular force acting per unit area. With increasing the pressure for liquids, the viscosity value will be increases. Whereas for gases, at a normal pressure, so viscosity does not depend upon the pressure. Even this point also very important. Many times are asking, how does the variation of viscosity with the temperature and variation of viscosity with the pressure? So this is regarding a viscosity and the coefficient of viscosity. Understood? So next class we will continue the revealing part. Okay, thank you.